Hello and welcome to another episode of the Footy Form Guide podcast. It's the last round of the year and I'm your host, as always, Walley, joined as always by my good mate, Harro. How are you, mate?
Yeah, going well, Walley, and it's just another week and just another dull week, isn't it? Football, there's just nothing going on,
There
no
never is,
controversy.
mate. Footy remains absolutely stacked with news every single week. But look, the one I wanted to highlight really quickly, Harro, was Josh Fraser for you in a positive light, and that's what we're here to do. Talk about the punt and some positivity. But, mate, as a Carlton fan, you must be rapt that Josh Fraser got the gig. He's done everything, 10-2 and a draw, got you from one win halfway through the season into a wild card spot, and hopefully, fingers crossed for all the neutrals out there that it ends up being Carlton Collingwood, and it still can be. But mate, were you rapt when he was appointed?
It's been a roller coaster of a season for the Baggers, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
and it's been an enjoyable run, in the last sort of 10 weeks or so. So I'm happy for the club and that they've got something out of the season anyway, because it looked like they were going to get nothing out of it. And so, look, good luck to Fraser. I hope he can keep that positive vibe going, because it does look like they're having fun and playing good footy at the moment.
That's the key, the fun. It's they're having a lot of fun on the field, and there's nothing more fun than winning, Harrow. But they're actually enjoying their footy, and it's been great to see. Now we'll get stuck into the round ahead in a minute, but first we always look back to look forward. Wins and losses, highlights, lowlights, good and bad. What did we see well on the punt, and then what did we maybe not see so well on the punt?
Yeah, it was a bit of a tricky round. Like we had the motivational multi, which was we needed. I think there was 5 games I think in there.
Yeah.
Brisbane being one, Geelong, Hawthorn, Melbourne, and Carlton.
So it didn't lose, but it went 3-0 and 2. There was 2 draws in there.
I know. So, and actually interesting, because if you took those bets, and depending on where you took those bets, depending on what you got back in the end. So I know if you had your bets at, say, Sportsbet, Bet365, actually most of the bookies, they remove the drawn leg, and so you still get a nice payout. But at Tab, they halve the payout for each draw, so you only end up getting a quarter of your payout.
Yeah, so you lost money.
Yeah, you lost if you went with Tab, but you won if you went with Sportsbet or Bet365 or whoever else. So that was interesting. There was a few what do we have in there? We had the Brisbane Lions was probably our best result, getting over Gold Coast by that 42 points. Also, we had the Carlton game. Even though we missed out on the best bet, we picked the eyes out of all the players in that game.
Yeah.
We sort of predicted that was going to be a really high disposal one. And I think looking back on last week's pod, we nailed 4 from 4 with the disposal guys we picked out. So that was a nice result. Otherwise, a bit of a mixed bag, mate, otherwise.
Yeah. And then obviously in terms of the bad, we know that we got the Hawks wrong. And I think I said this to you. I feel like we just haven't been around. Like every time I feel like we play in the space of the Hawks, we're on the wrong side. So if we could just tip them up to lose this week, Harro, that'd be good, because, we're going to need them to win by a lot if they want that third spot. Obviously, just winning will keep them in the top 4. Do you know if they lose, the likelihood is that they would end up in the wild card?
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
It's extraordinary. Quite extraordinary. So, because the teams below, you'd think all will pick up a victory. Anyway, mate, we're going to get stuck into the games. This is a really interesting round. So I want to throw to you first to give us a little bit of a precursor to the games, because there's a lot of games here that we're not going to know a huge amount of before teams. And then there's also games that we're just not going to know how they're going to be approached at all. But you wanted to look back at last season and some of the things from the final round and what we learned there.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different this year because there's 3 brackets to play into in terms of top 4, top 6, top 10. And where last year there was only 2 brackets of top 4 and top 8 that teams were trying to play into. So, but these rounds, I just know from experience, you can't treat them like any normal round. There's just often so many like guys getting thrown around in positions. Your player bets are really tricky. You got to, especially before teams, because there's different motivations going on and different things like that. Well, I look at a couple of games last year, and there are some things that you can. What we've had good success with already, Wall, and we saw it with the Essendon game on the weekend, is these fourth quarter lines. They can be really good for like, and I just look at last year. So Geelong, they're obviously playing Richmond in the last round last year, and they had the game sealed up at three-quarter time. So the scores at three-quarter time were Richmond were on 30 and Geelong were on 91, 92. Okay, so game was done. What happens in the last quarter? Richmond kicked 5-4 to Geelong's 1-2. Okay, and I'm telling you right now, you would have got big odds about Richmond winning the last quarter in that game. So you've obviously got Geelong going into finals, putting everyone on sort of cotton wool type thing and going into that last term. And the Richmond players, boys, this is the last quarter we're playing for 6 months. Go out and finish the game strong, take it into next year or whatever. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking at that can happen in these sort of last rounds. And the other thing that you can get, and I look back on it last year, and you can get some pretty high scoring as well. So Essendon Gold Coast, that was 211 points, 190. And got to remember last year was a lower scoring season than what we're getting this year. GWS Saints made up at 202. Western Bulldogs Freo made up at 219 209. The Adelaide Crows in the north made up at 213. So you can get some high scoring. You get these dead teams playing teams going into finals. You get that fourth quarter angle. And then obviously you also get players getting some role changes and things like that, which can be a lot harder to predict without having all the teams and everything like that. But that's the sort of stuff we're looking into. So today's pod probably going to be a little bit different. There might not be as many angles straight out, but we'll go through each game anyway. Just keeping these things in mind.
All right, mate. Yeah, we will get stuck in, and we'll give you a little bit before each game, but we'll start off with the Thursday night, which does not matter at all for either team. That's St Kilda Gold Coast. The two most disappointing teams in it this year. You've got one who spent all the money under the sun, didn't make the top 10. Another one who, after a couple of rounds, were premiership favourite. Petrarca was going to win the Brownlow and then didn't do shit. So, disappointment cup, this one, Harro. $1.47 St Kilda, $2.71 Gold Coast. The line is 13.5 points. Is this one that you look at and you go, well, this could just be an absolute just scoring fest under the lid at Marvel?
That's where I go with this one, yeah. So I don't see any reason why either teams or players would turn up with any sort of dour or defensive intent. Why would you? So my first thoughts is straight away with this one, we're looking at high scoring. And Gold Coast don't, over the course, they've been a lot better the last 2 weeks. I can give them that. They kept Brisbane under 100 last week. But the week before was played in wet conditions. So it's really just 1 week of form that could put you off it. And that's the Brisbane game last week. But I think with the way that this one lines up at Marvel, there's no reason why this shouldn't be high scoring. And the line's not all that high. It's 179.5. If you just go back over Gold Coast last sort of 6 weeks, taking out the wet game, they've conceded 95, 114, 110, 128 and 104. And so, the defense hasn't been great all year. And so I'll be happy to play the over total points, mate, in this one.
All right, great. Is there any other angles, or are we just going to wait for teams in terms of individual player angles?
Honestly, I think we've got to wait for teams because there's a few guys here that I think are getting a little bit of extra sort of a bit of an extra go. One's like Leo Lombard. I thought Hugh Boxall last week, he wasn't as defensively minded, and he got a season high 21. So he could be good. They could bring Zeke Ulland back into the side. He's a guy that they're trying to progress as well. So these types of things are the things I'm thinking about, like who are the guys that they're going to try and give a little bit more opportunity to. And then also your leaders, like, they generally would try and lead from the front in a game like this as well and try and finish the season strong. But a few other guys, actually, I noticed, just to be cautious with, obviously Petraka, he's completely lost his role lately.
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row, he's had under sort of 16 disposals. So just sort of steer clear of him. He might even be a guy that they might just put on ice. And then also I noticed on the weekend that Darcy Wilson had been smashing it, and then all of a sudden on the weekend didn't get a centre bounce attendance and
Yeah.
only got the 15. So this is the sort of thing that can happen at the end of the season too, Wally. Like just out of
Harro,
nowhere, Darcy
I watched
Wilson's
that.
killing it, and then he's just left out altogether. So
I don't understand it. I watched it with the Saints fan that was pulling his hair out going, why are we putting Jack McRae in the middle? Let's worry about the future of our footy club. We've got this old guy in the middle that's not going to be part of our future plans. And instead, we've got Darcy Wilson playing half forward like it was stupid. What I will say, Bradley Hill's 300, so disposals and maybe a goal for Brad Hill could be an angle. But you think he'll get absolutely plenty of it and coming off 41. On the weekend. All right, we'll look to Friday night, Collingwood, Brisbane. Another weird one, like Brisbane just need to win for their top four, so that's fine. Collingwood, it's irrelevant, so they'll probably rest some players. We know that. But that being said, they play the following week, so you don't want to rest your entire list. I just think they'll give Dacos a week off. But what I saw on Saturday night is the Collingwood structure is so strong that I don't see them just laying down. They just don't do that, Harro. They still play like life depends on it. The other thing is that surely there's a thing with Collingwood now with all these guys that have been coming in and the injuries. There will be players playing for spots.
Yep. Yeah. I just look at this one and put it down to like the motivational difference between the two teams.
Yep.
Like Collingwood basically can't move realistically from 8th or 9th. Like they're going to finish 8th or 9th and they're going to be playing in Melbourne regardless. So their priority really has to be the following week. Now, Brisbane, they have to actually win to keep top four, but actually there's now a battle. Everybody's going to want to get Sydney in the first week of the final. So, and they could get overtaken by Hawthorn potentially on percentage.
It's about 6 goals, I think. So if it's 6 or 7 goals, so if they win by, say, 6 goals and Hawthorn win by 12, 13 goals, they'll go past. And that could happen over in the West, obviously with the West Coast being done. So I'm assuming by this we're saying the Brisbane minus 26.5 is a bet.
Yeah, I think so. And also, Wally, I'm not sure if markets are up yet, but this one lines up for one of those fourth quarter lines because you know what Collingwood are going to do. Collingwood will definitely be trying, but come the fourth quarter, they've got to play again in 7 days' time where Brisbane have got the week off and they're going to be chasing every little bit of percentage that they can get. So I also like the fourth quarter line, and actually at the moment it's 6.5. So I feel like we're a lot more likely for Brisbane to be running this one right out to the line, where Collingwood probably will be doing some managing, especially in that last quarter, just trying to get through. So I feel like that's another angle for the punters as well, mate.
Great bet. And look, this is impossible to know. There is going to be players rested in this one for Collingwood. So, again, we say it all the time. Keep an eye on socials. There'll probably be more on there this week than there has been because there is so many unknowns around player bets. Okay, we move on to Saturday. The Saturday games are going to determine the makeup of that 7th wildcard spot and where 5 and 6 fall, and we'll know about Brisbane ahead of that and all of that. So, Carlton take on Freo. Now, this is an interesting one because Carlton's into the wild card now. Freo can't move, but Carlton would rather, and Carlton would obviously rather play in Melbourne against the Collingwood than have to go to Adelaide, Harro. And you would think Melbourne, the game after this, would be beating the Dogs based on everything that's on the line for them. So there is something actually in this for Carlton. Carlton 2.45, Freo's $1.56, and the line is 10.5. Harro.
Yeah, so do Freo. I think Freo will turn up to play because you don't really want to mess with your form coming into finals, and they don't get another hit out. This is their last hit out before they play for a spot in a home prelim. So although Freo may rest a couple of guys, I think that they'll be trying to bring somewhere close to their best footy. But obviously, when a team doesn't need to win, it's pretty hard to back them at the same time.
Fourth quarter?
Well, again, I don't think it lines up as a great fourth quarter one, well, not compared to the last one anyway.
No, of course.
No. So actually, Wally, this game, I'm probably not really finding anything just at this point in time, just because, and then even from a disposal point of view, like Freo games are notoriously hard for disposals.
Yep.
And then the motivation on this, I know Josh Fraser said that they won't be resting any players. Okay, great. Carlton can turn up and be flat stick, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be good enough. And then from a Freo point of view, if they are flat out, well, it's just tricky one to work out, mate. And even the total points in this one's not an easy one either. Okay. So given that, it's sort of undecided what the motivation is for each team in it. So putting this one in the too hard basket, mate, we will wait for teams and see if we can pick anything else out. And especially the post teams potty this week's going to be an important one for the Discord to tune into because we're going to have a lot more information then, and it will give.
It's going to be a biggie, mate.
It will give clues as well. It's going to give us clues about who's about the motivations and everything. Yeah. So said at the top of the potty, we're not going to have heaps on every game. This is probably an example of that.
Yeah. Okay. This is the next three games. There is motivation and plenty of it because these teams want to give themselves every chance to avoid the wild card, and they have to win to do that and win well. Melbourne, Western Bulldogs. Melbourne are $1.41. The Dogs are $2.93. The line is 16.5. Melbourne is in. They're in a really strong position, Harro, because they are currently in fifth. So if they win, they can't be pushed out of fifth, but they could if Brisbane or Hawthorn pick up a top four spot. So Melbourne's in a great position here. They just need to go out, win. They control their fate, and they not only avoid wild card, they get a home final at the MCG in the first week of finals.
Yeah, I think also importantly for this one that this is an MCG game, Wally.
Yes.
Which makes a difference because we've got Dogs are a clear Marvel team. They love it at Marvel, and the D's we know they love it at the MCG. So very keen on the D's here, mate. I've had a little multi already, which we've put out to our followers, but we'll put it out again because the odds have held fairly well, and it's Melbourne to win, Brisbane to win, and Hawthorn to win. Bit of a motivational multi there, and this is the one with the most juice in it in terms of the odds, but also I like the D's at the minus 16.5 as well. Obviously, teams is going to be important again, but I don't have any qualms about the motivation about Melbourne. Now, the Doggies were very good against Carlton, and actually Bevo said it was their best performance for the year. So that was interesting, and I do expect them to be turning up and to be trying, but I don't think they're going to be good enough for the Ds. Now, the other area that we know is the Ds are the Dogs can at times struggle against key forwards. And so we got Harrison Petty, so we could look at his goals. They might bring back in a Melksham as well. Also, I've heard some rumours that Tom McDonald could swing forward, so maybe that's one to watch in the warm-ups as well. And so, I feel like there's probably going to be some angles here, but definitely keen on the Ds at the line and just to win in that multi as well. And with the Dogs playing a week later, again, it could be another fourth quarter line job, and I think you're only needing the Ds to win it by 4 points, or 5 points. So that's another one that we could play there as well, mate.
All right, very good. Geelong Richmond is next. Now, this is an interesting one. Geelong, obviously, they $1.02. Richmond are $15. The line is 60.5 points. Mate, the interesting one here, though, is the Cats. So the Cats, if the D's win, Cats can't catch them.
Yeah.
And they're 5 percentage points ahead of Adelaide. So Geelong's in an interesting space where, yeah, they're going to want to win comfortably and do that down there, but they also don't need a huge amount of percentage. So this might be, like, as you say, yes, Geelong do a good enough job. This could be a fourth quarter bet, Harro. Or do we just think Richmond is so done that they just don't turn up in any quarter?
Well, I mean, you could have said that about last year as well, and they still won the last quarter by 4 goals, I think, 3-4 goals. So, yeah, it could be one of those ones. Obviously, if the game's sealed up, there's not a lot for the not a lot more the Cats can really do at that point, is there? And they've already shown that they will put their guys on ice, but they don't have to play the next week. So most likely they'll be in the top 6. So just looking at a few other guys that we've got here. So goal kickers for Geelong. Been really impressed with Polkinghorne. And actually I knocked his kicking a while back, but he's been a bit of a dead eye, hasn't he? He's been really good.
The minute you knocked it, he kicked, I was 3 straight or something.
Yeah, I haven't been complaining because we've been backing him. So
no, it's been good.
Yeah. I don't think there's any send-off games in this one or anything like that, is there? Because they did all that.
Richmond did it all last week.
Yeah. So maybe it's one that you look at the line. Also, the over total points as well, with Richmond being, completely dead, and Geelong, they just really love trying to score at all. Like, they're trying to score all the time, especially at home. So it should be pretty high scoring, I would have thought. But another one, Wally, that we're probably going to, not find a hell of a lot at the moment.
All right, mate. Move on now. Adelaide. They're the interesting one because they are currently in 7th. Now, if all the results go the way that they should, Adelaide will not be able to move on Saturday night. So it won't matter. All of a sudden, they're going to have a home wild card the following week. So that could really change how they finish off the season. GWS, let's be honest, doesn't matter how well or bad they're going. They're a proud club, so you think they're not going to just want to lay over in the last game. So if Adelaide can't move, that would be, I assume, how we're looking at the game differently than if something does happen with one of these other games. And there is a stuff up, like the Dogs shock Melbourne or something. Anyway, at this stage, Adelaide's $1.20, like GWS $1, $4. The line's 25.5. Bit of a tricky one.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, Wally, monitor the other results because it'll give us some clues about, what we need to do around Adelaide because, it could be a big difference. As you say, if the Dogs win, well, Adelaide are going to be flat out. But also, Geelong and Richmond play at the same time as Adelaide and the Giants. So I think that the Crows will be fully preparing for a full game and to play flat stick because they don't know right now what's going to happen in the Melbourne game or in the Geelong game. So you could go a little bit differently.
Harro, I think they know what's going to happen in the Geelong game.
Wow.
Oh, mate, Harro.
Yes, all right.
I will buy a Geelong membership if they lose to Richmond next year.
Jeez, you're sticking your neck out, Wally.
Come on, mate.
No,
I will go and buy a Geelong membership if they lose.
Yeah.
And I'll go down to the Joel Selwood stand and go to Chin Chin before a match and wear a scarf at the game and cheer for them against someone.
All right.
They are not losing that game.
No, they're not.
Anyway, it's more. Yeah, anyway, continue.
They will be planning to play and, give it a red hot crack.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the first half.
I was more thinking that last quarter, Harro, where it's like if it's all decided in that. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more the Adelaide at the first half line rather than going the other way because I I feel like that's probably the best angle for this one because I think Adelaide will turn up to play, especially in the first half. But you are a little bit open to them shutting up shop in the last quarter. So I'd rather, I think it's only 2 goals they need to win the first half by. And so that's where I'd probably like to be. Just been so happy with the way Isaac Rankin has been playing as well. He's been phenomenal, Wally. And there's unlikely to be any tags getting run here. But there is that little risk again. This is a tough thing with these rounds. Like, who are you putting on ice in the last quarter if you're Adelaide?
Rankin, Dawson, and probably Thilthorpe.
Yeah. So it's kind of tricky, isn't it, with all those sort of angles. Another guy I do like, and he's been getting the job done pretty consistently, is Rochelle for 2 goals. He's $2.10. We've had a bit of luck backing him over the course of the season. Also, you get there's a little thing going on here where I think there's a lot of guys leaving GWS at the end of the year, guys like Stringer, potentially Toby Green, these type of guys. So they could already be a bit checked out just as a group. I noticed Cogs got a big run in the midfield on the weekend. It could be a send-off game for him too. We don't know at the moment. But if you can get sort of, I think $1.80, $1.90 for him to get 20, he got nearly a full run in the midfield. So there's a couple of guys for GWS that they might be looking to give a bit of opportunity to. But otherwise, you've got to side with the Crows, mate. They're not a bad one if you just want to put them to win in a multi, along with the other guys we've already mentioned. But also, I like the first half line for them in this one.
Okay, no worries. Okay, now we move on to the Sunday games. Wow. 2 of these really don't matter. The first one's Essendon, Port Adelaide. Essendon's $2.23, Port's $1.66, the line 6.5. How the fuck would you determine what's going to happen in this game?
Yeah, pretty tough, isn't it? So if Essendon win, they will lose their number 1 pick, I believe.
There's no benefit to that.
Yeah.
There's no benefit.
There's a little benefit potentially for Port Adelaide to lose.
Okay.
So
because of their the picks they need.
Well, it's not so much that, but I think that Butters has said to them something along the lines of he's going to want to help Port get the best deal they can. All right, and that's going to make a big part of where he goes. And if Richmond finish bottom, then it's a much better outcome for Port Adelaide. So, I mean, I don't know if this is actually going to have any impact on the way Port play, but they've already decided to rest Horn Francis. Yeah. So who knows, mate? It's tough. And then you get obviously Essendon. It's not in their interest to win either, is it? So I don't know, mate. I don't know. It'll be interesting come that last quarter, and we've got, I don't know, Zach Merritt in the ruck, and Will Setterfield's a full back. Who knows? I really don't know.
This is an absolute nightmare game.
Yeah, it is. So there's a few guys getting big opportunity bumps, like Burgoyne. He's coming off 34 and 27. You can get him $1.80 for 25. So he's going really well and getting that opportunity as we spoke about before. And then on the Essendon side of things, we saw Will Setterfield have a big game on the weekend. He had 32. He's $1.85 for 25. These types of guys also who are maybe playing for a list spot or playing to try and impress the coach for next year and whatnot, they're potentially worth backing as well. Caldwell coming off 28 last week, got his spot back in the midfield. I mean, his line's down around 22, 23. So we'll be able to find some bets around some disposal guys, I think. And it should be both these teams have been involved in high disposal games recently. But before teams, it's very hard to be confident on guys' roles and stuff with the potential of quite a few changes.
Next game, we spoke off air. There's nothing we can really touch on this. I'll just give you the bones of it, but we won't be covering it really now until post teams. That's Sydney North Melbourne. We have no idea what's going to happen with this. There is no way of knowing. Look, there is a likelihood that most of their midfield's missing, which means there will be opportunity for other players. Post teams, we will cover this. At the moment, Sydney's $1.83, North Melbourne's $2.01, the Lions 2.5. Neither team, it matters for neither team. Sydney are locked in. They're second. They've got their home final. In terms of North Melbourne and where they are on the ladder, they can go down if Gold Coast lose. They go. It doesn't matter. Like it's probably not a bad thing to go down. Like, there's no benefit for either team. So there's nothing we can really cover with this one. But what we will do is that we'll have a look post teams and see if there's any angles that we can do. And then the last game does matter. So West Coast Hawthorn. West Coast $9.30. Hawthorn's $1.06. The line's 46.5. So there's two angles to this. One is Hawthorn do need to win. There's no play there. They're $1.06, but they need to win to ensure top four. They are going to prefer to go to Sydney than to West Coast, over to the West, to play Fremantle to get Wharfie timed another time. But we won't know what that looks like until the Brisbane game. So after the Brisbane game, there will be a really simple bit of maths that goes Hawthorn need to win by this, give or take, for and against, and the live ladder will be important. But what that will do is it will be able to set up what that motivation looks like.
Yeah.
The thing is that I dare say that there is no result that puts Hawthorn completely out of it. Because even if Hawthorn have to win by 100 points, in their head they'll be going, we might still be able to do that, given West Coast after last week. That looks like they have completely. They're tired, they're done. So I would think this game is going to be live, but we won't know until after the Brisbane game what they need to do.
Yeah, 100%, Wally. So, I mean, if Brisbane come out and say Collingwood don't turn up, they have a bit of a rest and Brisbane win by plenty, then Hawthorn are just going to, just get the win, aren't they, and just put themselves and not get injured. But if Brisbane only scrape over the line by, say, 3 goals, well, then we'll be very keen on Hawthorn to win by whatever it is that they have to win to progress, because everybody's going to want to get Sydney. I mean, both Hawthorn and Brisbane are really going to want to get Sydney. So, again, Wally, it's another one that we can wait and look at other results before we dive in. So, look, I tell you, punters, we're going to be active on X this weekend because we haven't been able to give you a heap in this show. So, after teams and just throughout the weekend, we'll be on X. We'll be putting up plenty of stuff for the punters on there because there will be opportunities. It's just you need to wait and see how other games unfold and teams and everything before you really get stuck into it.
Agree. One thing I will say about that, the Gunston's 300th as well. Now, the only thing is with that is that you're not going to feed a bloke who's already kicked plenty of goals this year and who kicks hundreds of goals over his career. It's not like a defender, they're going to try and get him a goal in his 300th. Yeah, he'll kick goals, but there's probably going to be a bigger piece on this. And if either they're working as a team to try and get a score, or Dunston's the exact sort of bloke that won't get completely and utterly hammered, and they'll rest him a little bit and they'll conserve him because of his body and his age. So I don't think there's going to be an angle there, but I just wanted to call it out. And let's be honest, Harro, if it's 3 or 4 or 5, his price is so short for that amount of goals, you can't really play in that space. So I'll say this, don't get seduced by it. I've just said that he's probably going to kick 10 now, but I wouldn't get seduced by the whole, there'll be a lot of books that are going, Gunston's 300th, can he kick 10? He's never kicked 10. I think the most he's ever kicked 7, Harro. And he kicked that in like a quarter against Essendon and got stuck on it. So it's like it's this barrier for him. 7's like his ceiling. And I guarantee you'll probably only get $5 or $6 for that against this outfit. So I just wanted to call that one out because I'm wary of it. You know me, Harold. I always love the milestone bet, so I just don't know if there's one in this.
Yeah, and the Coleman's kind of wrapped up, which is a bit disappointing because often we can have a bit of fun in the last round with
Harold, it was a month ago we were saying it was the best Coleman race in years. There was 6 people, including a bloke that's shorter than me, that could have won it. And now Charlie's out in front by 8.
Yeah. So that's a bit disappointing. We did call
that at the start of the season, though, Harrow. That was a bet you suggested people to have in the futures.
And we also suggested it about a month ago as well. So when he was about $1.90. So well done to the punters who followed that one. So Charlie, he's good on him. Happy for him. So
same.
Go ahead.
He copped a lot of shtick early, didn't he? And now he's gone, up yours. I'm not only been a huge cog in a wheel that's finished second with a home final, I've also won the Coleman as well. So good on him.
Can we get a Coleman winner like with more than like he's on 66 goals? It's not that many, is it?
No,
Can we go back to the days
days
when we're getting up towards 100? It's so much better, even in a high scoring season.
Jezza last year we thought was going to get there, but all good. All right, mate. Mate, before we go, look, I know it's hard at the moment, but there is a couple of angles here. Do we have a best bet early?
Well, Wally, I'm going to go something a bit different with the best bet. And I always like to have the best bet on a high liquid market, something everybody can get on and everything like that. So,
Yep.
and this is different, but everybody can get on this. It's not a big problem. So it's actually a motivational multi. It's Brisbane to win, Melbourne to win, and Hawthorn to win. Pretty basic. You should get around $1.90. Now, it was about $2.10 a day ago, but still $1.90 qualifies for what we want to get for a best bet. So those three teams to win, keeping it very simple, I think that is a go. Also, this isn't the best bet, but, and I will put this up on X, we might get a little bit of a fourth quarter line multi going this weekend as well. So I'll put that out on X before the round starts as well. And that can be something that we can all follow along with. It could be a bit of fun. Just those fourth quarter lines, the ones that we like as well. But best bet, as I said, Brisbane to win, into Melbourne to win, into Hawthorn to win to finish off the season.
Amazing. All right, mate. That's fantastic. Harro, you've been great as always. As you said, it was the shortest show this week. There's nothing we can do. We've got to wait for teams. We'll be really active in the Discord, as we always are. We'll be really active on X. And, mate, enjoy the footy. Good luck to the Baggers. Hopefully they can finish off, regardless of the result, hopefully they can finish off the season nicely. And for all neutral fans, I really do hope you get the Chockies against Freo and we get Carlton Collingwood on a Friday night at the G to kick off wildcard round. Mate, I'll see you next week.
All the best, punters.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.